Okay. Are you able to see the screen? Hare Krishna. So today's topic is that the metal body uh, of Jiva, which is like a chariot, one need to explore this chariot analogy, understanding the metal body, the living entity, and the super soul within the body, the influence of the modes of metal nature, various obstacles covering on the path of liberation, the bondage, illusions, and struggles of living entity to attain liberation. Okay. So the chariot analogy, understanding the body, the chariot as the metal body. You see, this is the chariot of Arjuna. So the chariot symbolizes the human body, which is having five senses as horses, buddhi, intelligence as the driver, mind as the rein. You can understand this body is like a vehicle to experience various activities we do based on our karma phala. Whatever activities we do in our life is like that fuel. What is the fuel of this body? You may say, if we compare chariot, then what is the fuel? Even the senses need to senses who are like horses, they need to eat food, right? So that is the fuel. Or dana. Dana means you need to give some food to horses, and that is your karma phala. Whatever activities you have done, that you need to enjoy as prarabdha. When your karma phala finishes, the body also perishes. This body will be there as long as you have to enjoy or suffer the karma phala. When karma phala finishes, this body also perishes. Panchavi, Panchavi itan. These five senses, they make us enjoy or suffer. So these five senses are compared to five horses: ear, nostril, eyes, tongue, and the touch or tactile senses. As the five senses are like five horses, which pull for various sense desire. Eyes attracts toward the sense enjoyment, the objectives of sense enjoyment of good scenes, good visualizations. But sometimes When it is influenced in a raja, it is attracted to lusty desires. When influenced in tama, it is more kind of sinful in nature. When it is influenced by sattva, it purifies the existence of living entity and maintain the vision to be in dharma. Where is adharma, it pulls away. So like that, three modes of material nature influences our vision, our smell, smell, ear, like hearing the cinema songs or the divine mantra, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, hearing them. So these are certain choices remain in front of us, that whether we'll enjoy the transcendental bliss of Krishna like Krishna Prasad through our tongue, or we'll eat the hotel foods which are not offered to Krishna for the satisfaction of the tongue, or whether for one self sense enjoyment one is ready to kill the poor living entities. ଆମର ଜୀବନ ସଦା ପାପେ ରତ ନାହିକ ପୁଣ୍ୟର ଲେଶ ପରେରେ ଉଦ୍ଭୋଗ ଦିଆଛି ଯେ କତ ଦିଆଛି ଜୀବେର କ୍ଲେଶ. We give lots of torture to this living entity, even kill them and eat their flesh for the satisfaction of the tongue. So these five senses, they enjoys, they pushes us to enjoys, and these five Gyanandriya, five Karmendriya. What are these Karmendriya? Hasta, Pada, Udara. Hasta, Pada, Udara means hand, leg, belly, anus, and genitals. Like that, these five Karmendriya influence Gyanendriya to involve in acquiring knowledge for the sense gratifications. And with that, the living entity is distraction is getting distractions or diverted from the actual goal of soul. The soul is caged inside this body, and the cage is decorated. The cage is supplied with food, but the soul is not supplied with any food. The soul is ignored, soul getting tortured within this body. So living entity cannot get the real happiness. So there are two arrows in the hand of the living entity. So there is intellect or buddhi. So here you can see that self Atman is sitting here, and Paramatma, who is sitting near to the Atman, can be our intelligence, can guide us, can hold the rein or control the mind. Paramatma always give guidance, whether we are influenced by Maya or not. If you are influenced by Maya, Paramatma also gives Smriti Gyan Apahanam cha. So the intelligence is contaminated affected by contaminated consciousness. But when, like Arjuna, Paramatma guide our body, then the intelligence is the true friend, assistant guiding the mana. The mind become a sumana. Sumana kumana. Kumana is the enemy. Sumana is the friend. Sumana is like a flower which is offered to the lotus feet of Krishna. And Kumana is that great enemy which taken away us from Krishna and involved in facilitating the enjoyment of five senses. Five working senses influence the five knowledge acquiring senses involved in five tanmatra like Sabda, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, Sparsa, all in enjoying the material body, ignoring the pious and impious activities. It can do anything for the satisfaction of the body. ନିଜ ସୁଖ ଲାଗି ପାପେ ନାହିଁ ଡରି. No fear for sinful life. It can do anything. So these are all impact of false ego. The attachment and delusions obstruct the progress of spiritual enlightenment. So this harmful effect of false ego bind the living entity in the material pool and do not allow the living entity to remain in the true relationship with God, called bhava. नास्तिर भाव अजुक्तस्य न च अजुक्तस्य न च जुक्तस्य भावना न च अभावयतः शांति अशांतस्य कुतः सुखम. So he cannot attain the inner peace because of forgetting Krishna and not exist in the relationship with Krishna, not acting according to the relationship with Krishna. So this is the real issue, the possessiveness that bind us in the material illusion, make us completely forget about our spiritual awareness and spiritual growth, and being caged into the conditions, we lose our freedom to do the betterment of ourselves. So this living entity should take the help of the super soul, the jiva as the owner is sitting in this body. This body is not the jiva. This body is like the trace of the jiva. The Paramatma and Jivatma both are sitting in the heart. Heart is like the sitting place of the chariot. So both Paramatma and Jivatma are sitting in the heart. So Jiva is the conscious living residing within the heart, overseeing the mind and body. These five working senses are controlled by various thoughts of the mind. You may say that mind in is in brain. No. So mind is regulated from the heart. So mind is kind of a rain which is controlling all the working senses. Mind is a subtle element which is not like the gross element. The elements like the nerves are there, The motor and sensory organs are getting the signals from the neuron cells that flows in the body from leg to the head. All these signals or electric signals that is generated passes through biological electrical signals passes through the nerves are all because of the sankalpa. Sankalpa means mind determined to do something. When mind determines something, then that is called sankalpa. And the mind determinations happen through the regulations of the person or human being's intellect. When the intellect is guided by Krishna, then he is Krishna conscious. When the intelligence is guided by false ego, ahankara, buddhi, and ahankara, false ego and material intelligence lead the living entity to live a materialistic life. So, based on the contaminated consciousness, the false ego guides the intelligence to follow the path of material road. But when the true Krishna consciousness, then the living entity guided this mind through the intelligence of Krishna, Buddhi Yoga. So, this is the experience of the living entity, whether he will continue to be in the journey of a spiritual enlightenment or materially enjoying or suffering three modes of material nature. Sometimes sattva, sometimes raja, sometimes tama. One of the time, one of the mode become heavy over others. Sattva rajaha cha abhibhuya tamam. और तमा रजः सत्व च अभिभूय और सत्व रजः तम च अभिभूय. So at one point of time, one of the mode can overpower other two modes. So with that, a living entity guided to enjoy or suffer. Spiritual realizations is the real pursuit of the living entity. If he is not able to control or regulate through the transcendental consciousness, this physical and mental plane will lead toward guna and karma. With that, the experience he gains will manifest in the form of vasana. Vasana is called the deep rooted desire to enjoy various activities, the result of various activities. It burns the living entity, burns the mind. If this vasana are मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखद आगम पाइनो अनित्यास्ताम तिथिकस्यो भारत. When a living entity follow the path of self-realization can understand that these are all coming due to contact of the material nature. And one living being should be aware that these are all temporary. Anityas. Agama paino anityas. Just like pain and pleasures comes, similarly, This kind of thoughts comes and goes. Like when you are sitting in a class, you have no influence of lusty desire in you. So that means the lusty desire is not permanent. Sometimes it can come and sometimes it will go away. So depending upon your emphasis where you are sitting, where you are involving yourself, adhishtanam, the places where you are living, the thought and your various endeavor and your capability of working senses, and finally the metal nature's arrangement, Daivi, the ultimate sanction of the god, the various actions get performed. So for that reason, this body need to be maintained into the state of Krishna consciousness with the intelligence, buddhi yoga, and the charioteer should be Krishna or Krishna consciousness, and mind is the realm. So with this consciousness, super soul guide the living entity, and the path of the chariot will be a spiritual path, growth of the living entity towards enjoying spiritual bliss. And all those obstacles, hindrances coming on the path of spiritual realizations or spiritual wisdom will be guided by transcendental intelligence of Krishna consciousness. The super soul always guide the living entity and follow the path of road to reality by the transcendental Krishna consciousness. But those who are not accepting Krishna consciousness, the contaminated consciousness, drive it to the material plane. But sometimes when the living entity desire to be in spiritual path, there are lots of material challenges in front of you. So one must accept the path of Krishna consciousness by accepting the guidance of Chaitya Guru, Krishna, and a Guru outside. So Chaitya Guru is the Paramatma and Sri Guru is the manifestation of the Paramatma who guide outside and who guides within are Guru or the guide. The super soul, a Chaitya Guru and the Guru outside. With the help of Sadhu, Guru, Shastra, Atma, Rupe, Karana, Anushan, our consciousness can be guided toward the spiritual wisdom. This body is most important. Unless we guide it, it will roam in the working senses, and there the arrows of false ego and contaminated consciousness with ahankara, abhimana, asat jnana. The intelligence is guided by material intelligence of sense enjoyment. Ahankar, abhimana, asat jnana are more influenced with asat sangha. So these are four A. Ahankar, abhimana, asat sangha, asat jnana. Chadi bhaja guru pada padma. Giving up all them and taking the shelter of Sri Guru or buddhi, yoga, the help of Krishna consciousness is utmost requirement. The spiritual wisdom, maintaining spiritual wisdom amongst all such challenges of the body is not possible otherwise. Whether we will walk in the path of sense enjoyment, committing sin, like Amar Jivana Sada Papirata, Nahika Punya relation. ନିଜ ସୁଖ ଲାଗି ପାପେ ନାହିଁ ଡରି ଦୟାହୀନ ସ୍ୱାର୍ଥପର. For my pleasure, the pleasure of my body, it can commit any kind of sin. Just for some sense enjoyment, maybe 5 minutes sense enjoyment, this mind can make us fall into the jail or even the capital punishment of hanging. It is possible. It is very serious matter. One need to take a great care of regulating the mind with Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, this mind can be a greatest enemy which can make us fall in the greatest sin. Pape nahi dari, fearing the sin. If there is no fear, then there is no Krishna consciousness. One must fear sin, not to commit sin. One must fear offenses, aparadha. One must fear not being envious. Para sukha dukha kara. Para dukha sukha kara. That is the state of enviousness. When we see that others are happy, then we become unhappy. That is the enviousness. When we see others are unhappy, then we become happy. So this kind of material duality influences so much is the greatest hindrance in the path of spiritual progress, and our consciousness certainly need the guidance of super soul. Otherwise, it is not possible. So these subtle and gross elements covering the living entity, this gross body is called Annamaya Kosa, physical body. And there are Prana Vayu, Pranamaya Kosa. Then the mind, which is pulling ourselves toward Annamaya Kosa, is called Manomaya or Jnanamaya Kosa. Then Vijnanamaya Kosa is like the wisdom. And Anandamaya Kosa is the blissful state of the living entity through pure consciousness or Krishna consciousness. So we need to purify our Annamaya Kosa to Pranamaya Kosa to Manamaya Kosa to Vijnana Kosa with Krishna consciousness. Uddharet atmanam atmanam na atmanam avasadayat. Evam buddhe param buddha jaha parasastu saha. So this mind can be regulated with the intelligence of Krishna consciousness. Buddhi yoga. Evam buddhe param buddha. So when we practice Krishna consciousness with the guide of spiritual master and super soul, spiritual master outside, super soul within, then our Anandamaya Kosa is empowered, influence the Vijnanamaya Kosa. And the Vijnana is the experiential knowledge of practicing Krishna consciousness. With our experiential knowledge, our mind is regulated, become a sumana, controlled mind, which is learned with practice of detachment. This word you remember, practice of detachment. Detachment means the pulls towards enjoying material senses are called attachment. This is the most serious burning that is happening within us. Kama roga, krodha vanhi, moha satru. These three things are actually our problem: kama, krodha, lobha. Lobha, when deepens further, is becoming moha. Lost anger and greed at the three gateway to the hell. So when lost anger and greed are controlled, it can only be controlled with Krishna consciousness, with experiential practice that detached from lusty desire. Lusty desire is actually burning us. When you enjoy lusty desire, it creates greed, moha. So the source is center is lusty desire. Enjoy it, become greed, transform to at peak state, become moha, illusion. And when you cannot get it, then generation of krodha, anger, a deep desire to enjoy. It's like burn krodha vanhi, the fire that burns the living entity. Krodha vanhi, kama roga. It is the greatest disease in us. The lust desire to enjoy the senses. And it creates moha the more we indulge in it. Like you put ghee in the fire, then fire increases. Punaha charvita charvana nam. We repeatedly trying to enjoy those which is like chewing already chewed. Chewing gum, you eat chewing gum, right? Even though there is no taste, still keep on chewing. Like this, the living entity state is influenced in three modes of matter nature and have no hope to come out of that. We have reached the time limit. The remaining will cover in some other class. Okay, Hare Krishna. Any questions?